The prince lived in a large palace with tall white walls and golden doors. From the outside, the palace looked beautiful and perfect. Inside, many servants worked every day and every night. They cleaned the floors, cooked food, washed clothes, opened doors, and stood quietly in long halls. They spoke softly and walked slowly. Their lives were simple, but their hearts were full of duty. The prince was very young. He had everything he wanted. Fine clothes, sweet food, soft beds, and many toys filled his rooms. Since childhood, servants did everything for him. When he woke up, they opened the curtains. When he ate, they served food silently. When he walked, they followed behind him. Because of this, the prince never learned how hard life could be. He never thought about the feelings of the servants. To him, they were just part of the palace, like walls or chairs. Every morning, the prince walked through the palace halls. Servants bowed their heads and stepped aside. Some smiled kindly, but the prince did not notice. He walked fast, thinking only about himself. Sometimes he felt lonely, but he did not understand why. He had many people around him, yet no one talked to him like a friend. One day, the king and queen had to leave the palace for a few days. They trusted the servants to take care of the prince. The prince felt angry. He did not like being alone without his parents. That morning, his mood was bad. When breakfast was late, he shouted at a servant. When his clothes were not ready, he threw them on the floor. The servants said nothing. They picked up the clothes and bowed their heads. Their silence made the prince even more angry. Later that day, the prince went to the garden. He wanted to play, but no one wanted to play with him. The guards stood far away. The servants worked quietly. The prince sat on a stone bench and felt something heavy in his chest. He did not understand the feeling, but it made his eyes wet. He looked at an old servant who was watering flowers nearby. The servant's hands were shaking, but he worked carefully, drop by drop. The prince watched him for a long time. Finally, the prince asked, "Why do you work so slowly?" The old servant stopped. He looked surprised. Servants were not used to being asked questions. He bowed and said softly, "My hands are old, my prince, but my heart still wants to serve well." The words stayed in the prince's mind. He had never heard a servant speak about his heart before. The prince stood up and walked away, but his steps were slower now. That night, the prince could not sleep. He thought about the old servant's tired hands. He thought about the silent faces he saw every day. For the first time, he wondered if the servants felt pain, sadness, or fear. His room felt too big and too quiet. He wished someone would sit and talk to him, not as a servant.